going through the spin-off list to get ROMs together to do the Wario retro reviews, I was actually looking forward to getting to this game specifically because not only did I play this game beforehand, I also played this game back when I was a kid, like 12 or 13, and I remember actually defeating the game, and back in the days of the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, getting a game that you could actually beat was quite the feat. Plus, the game was part of the already venerable Super Mario Land series, which was able to work within the limitations of the original Game Boy and use that monochromatic limited console to provide a creative and artistic platformer, even though the first game was only 40 minutes long. So I was definitely looking forward to this game, and likewise, the game did retain that quality that my nostalgia-riddled brain did remember. Similar to other Game Boy games, Super Mario Land 3 doesn't offer any story elements or a robust number of levels. I think in this game there are a total of 20 if my memory isn't faulty, so a playthrough of this will just get you through most of your afternoon on a weekend. However, what you do get on a less than 1 meg cartridge is something special. Instead of Mario like the previous games, Nintendo swapped the focus to Wario, who was the antagonist of the previous game, and designed an entirely new gameplay style around the stronger, fatter character than Jumpman's famous jumping skills. Instead of being a jump-based platformer, Super Mario Land 3 sticks to a punching-based platformer in levels that Wario can explore, find secrets, and get out of the game laden in gold and diamonds. Super Mario Land 3 is going to set the tone for every single Wario game after it, including the later games on the Game Boy Advance and GameCube, and this game has his signature skill set. Wario has a charge punch that can break through pretty much everything in the game, a powerful ground pound that can destroy blocks and stun enemies, and even a throwing mechanic, which is the quickest way to kill enemies is to throw them at each other. Unfortunately, Wario's power-ups don't stick around past his Wario Land days. Yet in this game, he gets access to a Super Mario Bros. Styled power-up scheme, where he can acquire Bull's Horns to gain more powerful punches and ground pounds, a dragon helmet that can breathe fire even when underwater, and even a rocket helmet that allows Wario to fly and smash into anything that's in front of him. In the time that this came out, getting to play a character so rough and ready to smash his way through all of his problems was a breath of fresh air coming from the Mario franchise, which forces the player to be cautious towards their approach of enemies and platforms, since a false start or landing would cost you your power-ups, or just kill you outright. Wario has to deal with something similar, as if he takes any damage, then he loses all his power-ups and reverts to his short form where he can't smash against anything. Until the very end of the game, the point of Super Mario Land 3 is to just go through levels and don't die. And just like the other two entries in this series, Super Mario Land's level design is fantastic, using its minimalistic style to craft a journey through a pirate's island where you'll have to jump through caves, swim in rivers, blast your way through a forest, and eventually ending on the prototypical pirate ship. Even though the entire game is in black and white, you can still see the flawless artistry that Super Mario Land's team was able to bring onto Nintendo's handheld market, and ends up making it part of the fun, since Wario Land's games favor more of an exploration angle than just completing the levels and moving on. At the end level of the game, Wario is introduced to the island's obvious evil Skull Castle that houses the awesome powers of the villain, who turns out to be some sort of regular woman with no super abilities, using the castle as a sort of hideout. Presumably, she's the leader of the pirate crew who Wario has been destroying on his journey, and what she brings to the table as a final boss is a genie in a lamp who aids the pirate queen in taking down Wario so that he doesn't steal all of her gold. It's a classic tale, really, and will be defining this character for the next 2 decades. Constant adventures for the sake of hoovering up as many riches as he can, and in spite of it all, actually never getting rich in the first place. While it is simplistic, the final boss fight is a good challenge that'll really test your platforming prowess as you try to attack the pirate queen, riding about on her genie friend. Once defeated, Wario takes the genie's lamp from her and bolts from the Skull Castle before it totally collapses. Super Mario Land 3 was a complete departure from the regular Mario style of platformer, and with the talent of Nintendo's handheld team on the job, it worked out beautifully, and introduces the player to a smash and grab flavor of platformer distant from any other Mario game ever made, where instead of jumping over enemies, Wario has to smash his way to victory with some simple power-ups that help to shake up the gameplay so that jumping and running doesn't get completely boring. Along with a feature introduced in Super Mario World is checkpoints in the level that you can buy with collected coins. This was actually the low point of the game, and honestly a weakness of the entire Wario series, is that the endings that you get for your game mostly get boiled down to how many valuables you collected throughout your journey, and you really only get the best ending if you collect 100% of all the golden collectibles in the game, which for me is pretty bullshit, since they are Mario grade hidden collectibles, meaning that you are really going to need a guide to find 100% of them, and if you don't, you usually get a comically terrible ending like the one I got at the end of this playthrough that sees Wario's castle get replaced with living in a hollowed out tree. Otherwise, the game is brilliant, a complete reimagining of a Nintendo platformer providing a totally new experience without sacrificing the quick pace or the skill of getting past platforming challenges. Something totally out of the box that hasn't been seen before, and since it's a Game Boy game that can be beaten in a short time, it really does become one of those unique experiences produced for Nintendo's monochrome handheld and continues to prove the talent of the creators behind it. Hopefully other Wario games will be able to push this forward, but until now I'll line up those final scores. Then make sure to leave you all with a victory for gamers. Thanks for watching.